In this world, some stories were never meant to be told in the daylight. Secrets hide behind abandoned walls and whispers echo from forgotten souls. Welcome to a place where safety is an illusion, and the truth is far more terrifying than fiction. I'm the narrator, and you've just stepped through the gate of horror. Turn off the lights and prepare yourself.
Imagine this: you've just bought your dream home. It's beautiful, spacious, and a quiet, friendly neighborhood. You and your family are ready to start a new, happy chapter. But then, a letter arrives, and it's not a welcome note from the neighbors. This is the chilling true story of the Watcher House. In the summer of 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus, along with their 3 young children, purchased a stunning 5-bedroom house at 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. It was perfect. A big yard, a peaceful street, everything a family could ask for. But their dream quickly turned into a living nightmare. Just days after closing on the house, the first letter arrived. It was addressed simply to the new owners. The letter began with a chilling welcome. "My name is the Watcher. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time." At first, the Broaddus family thought it might be a weird prank, but as they read on, a cold dread settled in. The letter contained details that no stranger should know. It mentioned the make and model of their car, the names and birth order of their children, and even the contractors they had hired for renovations. The writer asked, "Do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested? Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it great to bring me your children? Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me." Terrified, the family immediately went to the police. An investigation was launched. But there were no fingerprints, no DNA, and no leads. Who was the Watcher? A disgruntled neighbor, someone from the home's past. As the police investigated, more letters arrived, each one more sinister and personal than the last. "I am pleased to know your names now and the name of the young blood you have brought to me," one letter read. "Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom. Then I can plan better." The writer claimed to be watching them, describing the children playing in the yard, and even asking if they had found what is in the walls. The Broaddus family was living in constant fear. They installed security cameras and alarms, hired private investigators, and even stopped bringing their children to the house. The stress was unbearable. They had poured their life savings into this home, but they never spent a single night there. It was no longer a dream. It was a prison of fear. The investigation hit dead end after dead end. Theories swirled. Was it an elderly neighbor? A former housekeeper? Someone who lost a bidding war for the house? DNA from one of the envelopes was tested against neighbors, but no matches were found. The Watcher remained a phantom, a menacing presence lurking just out of sight. Ultimately, the Broaddus family couldn't take it anymore. They put the house back on the market. But the story had become a national sensation. Every potential buyer was scared away by the terrifying letters. They were trapped, unable to live in their home and unable to sell it. After years of financial and emotional turmoil, they finally sold the house in 2019 at a significant loss. The new owners have remained private, and it's unknown if the letters have continued to this day. The identity of the Watcher is one of America's most unsettling unsolved mysteries. Who was this person tormenting a family, and why? The letters are real, locked away in an evidence file. And perhaps, somewhere in that quiet New Jersey town, someone is still watching, waiting. What do you think? Who was the Watcher? Let me know your theories down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this mystery, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Stay safe out there. In the quiet, unassuming town of Plainfield, Wisconsin, a story unfolded in November of 1957 that would forever stain the pages of American history. This wasn't a tale from a horror novel. It was terrifyingly real, and it all centered around a man named Ed Gein. To his neighbors, Ed was just a shy, peculiar guy. He lived alone on his family's isolated farm after his mother's death. keeping to himself. He'd do odd jobs, help with repairs, and was generally seen as harmless, just a lonely, awkward man that the townsfolk mostly left alone. But what no one could possibly fathom was the grotesque secret hidden behind the closed doors of his farmhouse. The morning of November 16th started like any other, until Bernice Worden, the owner of the local hardware store, vanished without a trace. Her son, the town's deputy sheriff, grew concerned. Inside the store, he found the cash register missing and a chilling clue, a sales receipt for a gallon of antifreeze. The last customer listed on it was Ed Gein. That night, as darkness fell, the police made their way out to Gein's remote farm. The air was cold, and a putrid smell hung heavy. What they were about to discover would haunt them for the rest of their lives. An officer pushed open the door to a dark, musty barn. His flashlight beam cut through the blackness and landed on something hanging from the ceiling. It took a moment for his mind to process the horror. It was the body of Bernice Worden. Treated like a hunter's trophy, the scene inside the farmhouse was even more depraved. A literal house of horrors. There were boxes filled with human bones, bowls meticulously crafted from skulls, and lampshades sewn together from human skin. Most disturbingly, they found masks made from the preserved faces of the dead. It was a scene so vile, so beyond comprehension, that it felt like a nightmare made real. When questioned, Gein didn't deny any of it. He calmly confessed, weaving a story of profound loneliness and twisted devotion. After his domineering mother died, he became obsessed with the idea of resurrecting her. He began exhuming graves in the dead of night, stealing the bodies of women who reminded him of her. He used their remains to create his macabre collection of furniture and clothing. His ultimate goal, he explained, was to construct a woman's suit from human skin, a ghastly costume that would allow him to, in his mind, become his mother and feel her presence once again. While Gein only admitted to two murders, Bernice Worden and a tavern owner named Mary Hogan, who had disappeared 3 years prior, the sheer volume of human remains found on his property hinted at a far more extensive and sinister history. The news of his crimes sent a shockwave across the nation. Reporters descended on the tiny town of Plainfield, and the public was captivated and horrified in equal measure. Ed Gein's story became the dark inspiration for some of cinema's most iconic villains, from Norman Bates in Psycho to Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs But as terrifying as those films are, the truth of what happened on that farm is infinitely more disturbing. Gein was found legally insane and spent the remainder of his days in a state hospital, passing away in 1984. The infamous farmhouse itself is long gone. It mysteriously burned to the ground in 1958, just before it could be sold and potentially turned into a morbid tourist trap. Many locals believe it was intentionally set ablaze to cleanse the land of the evil that had resided there. Yet, the story lingers. Some who live near Plainfield say that on foggy nights, when the wind drifts just right, you can still catch a faint, rotten scent on the air. And if you dare to look towards the empty field where the house once stood, you might just see a flicker of light in the darkness, a chilling reminder of the man who blurred the line between nightmare and reality. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as chilling as I did, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more dives into the darkest corners of history. Stay safe out there. Picture a small, peaceful town in the American Midwest, June 1912. The kind of place where neighbors know each other by name and doors are left unlocked at night. This was Villisca, Iowa, a town blissfully unaware that it was about to become the setting for one of America's most chilling and infamous unsolved crimes. On the morning of June 10th, a neighbor noticed something was off at the Moore family's home. The house was eerily silent. The window blinds were still drawn, and the usual morning chores hadn't started. After knocking with no answer, she called Josiah Moore's brother, Ross, armed with a spare key. Ross stepped inside and was met with a thick, strange silence. What he discovered next would shatter the town's tranquility forever. In an upstairs bedroom, he found Josiah and his wife, Sarah, brutally murdered in their bed. Down the hall, there for children Herman, Catherine Boyd, and Paul had met the same horrifying fate. And downstairs, in the guest room, two young friends of the family, Lena and Ina Stillinger, who had stayed the night, were also found. 8 people, all killed with an axe as they slept. The killer had even covered their faces with bedsheets after the act. The investigation was baffling. The murder weapon was Josiah's own axe, left at the scene next to a bizarrely placed slab of bacon. Every mirror in the house had been covered with cloth. A bowl of bloody water sat in the kitchen, suggesting the killer had washed their hands before calmly walking out. There was no sign of a break-in, which meant the murderer was either let in or was already inside the house when the family locked up for the night. The news spread like wildfire, and Villisca was swarmed by police, reporters, and morbidly curious onlookers. The investigation was massive. They looked at everyone: drifters, a traveling preacher, even a respected state senator with a grudge against Josiah. Suspects were questioned. Confessions were made and later recanted, and multiple trials ended without a conviction. One theory pointed to a potential serial killer, linking the Villisca murders to similar crimes in other states. Another whispered that the killer was a local, someone the Moores knew and trusted. But every lead turned into a dead end. Years passed, and the house stood empty, a dark monument to the tragedy. Soon, locals began to share stories. They spoke of hearing faint children's laughter echoing from the empty rooms, disembodied footsteps on the stairs, and doors creaking open on their own. Some even claimed to see a dark, shadowy figure in the upstairs hallway, holding something that glinted in the moonlight. The house, it seemed, could not forget what had happened within its walls. Today, the Villisca axe murder house has been restored to its 1912 appearance. It's now a museum, a chilling time capsule of that terrible night. For the truly brave, you can even book an overnight stay. Many who have spent the night report strange occurrences, whispers in the dark, the sounds of children crying, and an overwhelming feeling of sadness that lingers in the air. It's as if the house itself is still grieving. More than a century later, the mystery remains. Who was the phantom that moved through the Moore house that night? Why did they do it? The questions hang over Villisca, a grim reminder of a night when an entire family and their young guests were lost, and a killer simply vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only silence and a town forever haunted by the crime. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. Stay curious and stay safe.